Hey everybody. Yeah,
What's up?
I am not.
Forget the music.
There we
Oh, there,
go.
now there's the music starts again. You're not alone. Okay, got it. That's good. All right. Before we get a copyright strike.
Okay, yeah, we don't
That
want
was
to
our
get
little taste, our little itty taste before we get a copyright strike. What's up, everybody? Who's it?
hey.
Oh, we don't have Mel here right now, so somebody's got to do introductions. I'm that guy. That's the one to welcome. Dear Evan Hansen. Here we go. Um, no, we just brief introduction before we see who's all in the comments. Welcome to Late Night Snacks. I am that guy. That is Dwanda. This is
Yes,
our theatrical sub file of our channel where we do
yes.
Broadway's our
We're
musical
calling
theater
we're
reviews.
calling it Snax Goes to the Theater. That's what we
This
called
is
it.
actually episode number 8.
Yes, it
So
is.
if you've not seen any of our previous episodes, take a look on our channel. They're probably a hot mess, but take a look anyway.
There
While you're
is a
there, like,
playlist.
thumb, whatever, stick it up your butt. I don't care. Just do whatever YouTube wants you to do. Just check them out.
Mm, there is a
Um,
playlist of all
yeah.
of them.
And now that, drum roll please, Broadway is back. Live theater
Yes.
is back, baby. We will be doing more of these. I have some plans for this year to see a couple shows, possibly LA and New York this year. I'm 100% going to see Hadestown on Broadway for my birthday this year. So that is a given. I was already supposed to do
Yeah.
that, go see that and Wicked right before COVID hit. So I've already revamped my tickets for Hadestown. Not for Wicked. Hannah's not doing Elphaba
Yeah.
right now,
It's
so
not
I'm like,
doing
I've seen Wicked many times, but Hadestown, I'm not missing this cast. Everybody's back except for Patrick Page. If you've not seen Hadestown, we're not talking Hadestown today. We do have a review of Hadestown on our channel. Go check it out. It's my obsession right now, but we're talking Dear Evan Hansen.
Yes.
And while we brought y'all here, and speaking of brought y'all here, who is here?
Let's
Who is
see.
here?
Who we have? We have Blaze is here.
Blaze is in the house. What's
Blaze
up?
is in the house. Our lovely
You are
Debbie
not,
Debbie is in the house.
not alone, Debbie. You are
That's
not
right.
alone.
All right. We have Clay Hoffman in the house.
Hey, Clay. Oh, he's friends with Blaze, so they know each other. So they're getting to become friends in the comments, just like we all did.
Yeah,
Way back in the day. Way
that's
back
how
in our
we
day.
did it.
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
who else
yep.
do
Mel, if you're out there,
we
pop in, say
Mel,
hello,
yeah, pop
Di.
in and say hello. That would
Di,
be
we're talking
nice.
Broadway. Where you been? Oh, she's on
All
vacation
right.
somewhere or some shit. Okay. Anyway, welcome to Late Night Sex, Dear Evan Hansen. We have seen the movie,
Yes, we
and
have.
we are going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about the movie in comparison to the show. We're going to spoil the hell out of this movie. So if you're an Evan Hansen fan or you're a Broadway fan and you're wanting the surprises or the changes or whatever it is that musical theater goers look at spoilers for a theatrical or a movie adaptation,
Mm-hmm.
be forewarned. There are other spoiler reviews out there for the movie because the press screener went out a few days ago, so we've all seen the press screener for this, and we are able to review it for you today and to see what our thoughts are. Both of us know the show well.
Yes.
So we knew the show going into the theatrical movie version. Neither one of us has seen the stage show. Ironically, we have both seen the
Physically,
show on multiple bootlegs, but we've not seen the show physically. It's one of the few big Broadway shows of the modern age that I've not seen.
no. Mm-hmm.
And I was looking forward to it during COVID time, so we'll see.
Uh-huh.
There is a North American tour going back out, so or maybe when I'm in New York seeing Hadestown, we'll see. I don't know. It's gonna be hard. I hear other guys are great. It's just gonna be hard without Ben doing the role. I think for me,
Yeah, I agree.
especially with this movie adaptation out. But we'll see. The show. If you don't know anything about the theatrical show, we're going to talk about the Broadway show itself or the actual stage show, and we will talk about in comparison to the movie. But what's everybody saying here?
Well, let's see. Debbie is complimenting you on your
Yes.
hair.
Well, thank you. Oh yeah, you haven't seen it yet. I'm going for hot pink. I'm going for hot pink before the move. I want it to be like cotton candy pink, but because of the blue, it's taking a few dyes to get it out of this
Yeah,
purple and
you'll get
into
it.
the pink.
I can tell it's already starting to change color a little
Yeah, it
bit.
is. It is. It's getting lighter from the first time that it was the
All right.
purple.
Then we have a question. Did Evan Hansen win an Emmy?
Tonight?
Not tonight.
Wasn't the Emmys on tonight?
Yeah, the Emmys are on tonight.
It wouldn't qualify for nominations.
No, I think they're
It
probably
wouldn't
asking
have.
about the stage show. Whether the stage show
Oh
actually.
no, it's past it's past its prime. The stage shows only get nominations in any of the EGOT categories during their initial first year release or their first year of a reboot or whatever. And that's the only year they qualify. Same with like movies. The first year it's out, it qualifies for Oscars. Like whatever. Shows the same thing. So this one's been out since 2016. 2017 was really its first full year on Broadway. Um, it won 6 Tony Awards then. So it had its Tony clearance. It's also won several different awards in the other categories for Emmys and Grammys and stuff like that as well. I know the cast of Dear Evan Hansen, they won an Emmy for their appearance on one of the talk shows, which is hugely controversial because
I
that's how
think
Ben
it
Platt
was.
is qualifying for an EGOT.
It was
Is
Good
because of
Morning
that.
America. It
Yeah,
was Good
one of
Morning
those.
America.
And so it has won Emmys, but the movie has not, I don't think the movie qualified in voting for the Emmys. It will qualify for voting in the Oscars, I believe, but it's not it didn't qualify for the Emmys. No, not yet.
However, however, I
The
have to
soundtrack's
say
not out yet.
Hamilton did get an Emmy, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's how Lin won his EGOT was with the Emmy.
No, no, no. I'm talking about tonight.
Oh, tonight they did
Yes.
the Disney Plus performance.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
cool.
got an Emmy tonight.
Very cool. Oh, speaking of that, before we get into the review, there is something because we're all here for Broadway theatrical stuff. There's an amazing series, an amazing show that was done, I think, a few days ago. It was the West End celebrating their return to Broadway in a concert style festival. Pride type style thing is just a stage with an audience out there, and all the shows that were on the West End were out represented, and they were doing several numbers from the shows, not just one number and gone.
Right.
So Evan Hansen was there, and the Lion King, and Wicked, and what else was it? Les Miserables was up there.
Oh, I want to see Les Miserables so bad.
I'm sure. No, Hadestown already closed on West End for what? Six was up there. So there was a lot. There was absolutely a lot.
White Bear Productions is in the house.
What up, White Bear Productions?
What up?
So check that out on YouTube. It's West End. It's West End Live or West. You'll see it's like a summer concert series that they just did, and the reason why I bring that up is because the Evan Hansen performance was absolutely amazing. If you're watching and you're following any of this Broadway West End stuff that's going on right now, this is the week that things started to really open, and the love and the celebration and the excitement and the energy that are there outside the streets on Broadway or over at the West End is absolutely palpable. And I wish I was there. I would have gotten anything to see Hadestown opening night or Hamilton's opening night. Hamilton was another one West End performed. They did like 4 songs, I think. But the love coming from people welcoming live theater back, because remember, it's not just us as fans wanting to see live theater again. It's all of these people were out of work for 2 years. All of the actors and producers and stagecraft people and ticket booth people and concessions and outside ticket sales, costume designers, all those people were just completely out of work for 2 years. And remember, these unions, some of them, if you're unionized, you get somewhat of benefits, but a lot of people are just kind of going job to job in the theater market. So it was devastating for that community. And there was a lot of fundraisers during COVID, but I think the angst of going back to work was so palpable on everybody that when they actually did and they had the reception for it, you could just feel the love. Like the kid that was playing Evan and Dear Evan Hansen on the West End production, he broke down crying before he even started the song because he could feel that. When Glinda on Broadway said the infamous line that everybody was waiting for, "It's good to see me, isn't it?" The crowd, I've never seen a standing ovation as long as it went for Wicked, that its opening night. So I think about a few shows are open on Broadway now, not all of them. Dear Evan Hansen is not opening until December. And then we've got Wicked has opened, Six is getting ready to open, Wicked opened, and Hamilton opened, and Lion King opened, the big ones, the big guns. There's some new shows, new plays that are opening. By winter, Broadway will be back in full force. All theaters will be back functioning. And it's an amazing thing. They are requiring vaccinations on Broadway, from what I understand. You have to show proof of vaccination before you can enter a Broadway theater, from what I understand. Good for them.
Yeah, Blaze says that Broadway reminds them of Glee.
Yeah, well, that's what Glee was fundamentally based off of, was show tunes. and musical theater kids. I mean, that was my life growing up, was being a musical theater kid, or theater kid. And so Glee was a great show to watch before it got
Yeah,
stupid, but it was a great show.
that's how I grew up too, but I was more in the choir circuit than
Yep.
the musical
Okay, here we are,
theater.
10 minutes, and we haven't talked about this movie. All right.
All right.
Dear Evan Hansen, the movie. Again, last warning. We have seen the film. We
Yes.
are going to spoil the shit out of the film. So if you don't want to know these surprises, don't come crying to me. That guy spoiled Dear Evan Hansen. Number one, the story's been out there since 2016. Number two,
Yeah.
you've been warned. We're going to talk about it. It's on our thumbnails everywhere. We're going to talk about it.
Hi,
Okay?
Julie. Glad you're here.
What's up? What's up? All right. So, surprisingly, when I was looking up some facts, because I didn't want to misspeak, because I don't know the foundation of the show as well as I know others, I was looking at some stuff, and I was shocked, relatively shocked. Don was as well, at the hate and the backlash for this show. Just Dear Evan Hansen, the story that's out there, and then of course a lot of that hate, cancel culture followed into the movie. So there's a lot of negative press around this film. There's a lot of negative press around the show. There's a lot of negative press around the story.
I don't understand it.
Well, it's interesting because I looked into it. I started really diving deep in. And what are these people really saying? What are they bitching about? And the first thing is that whole conservative way of looking at, we can't teach our kids these messages. It's too much. It's going to cause suicide. It's going to cause violence. It's going to cause, meanwhile, people are shooting each other up on the streets. Fundamentally, what I found out is that people that were bitching and complaining and blacklisting this show had no idea what the show was really about. Had just heard certain plot points or even no plot points and started just running with it, with the culture. I do feel, though, after seeing the film, and we'll talk about it, but I do feel after seeing the film that the Broadway show kind of misses the mark on its delivery of the message of mental illness.
Yeah,
and I think that maybe where a lot of the confusion has happened around the cancel culture with it. The movie, however, is very poignant, very clear, very moving, very poetic on mental illness. You cannot watch this film and there's a certain point in the film where there's a new song, we'll talk about it, hits everybody watching that film going, I'm in. Holy shit. And that is missing from the Broadway show. Those really single defining moments to show that this is about mental illness and not about just a fucked up kid who lied. This is about a mental illness and how society as a whole, not just our medical system, society as a whole has left these people behind.
Right.
And has caused all this stuff. So let's talk about the plot really quick of Dear Evan Hansen, just to just get people on board if they don't know, so that when we talk about comparisons, they could know. Simple story about a boy with some sort of ADD type, fidgety type of anxiety disorder.
He's got anxiety, depression, all of it.
Anxiety, depression, like all this. They don't really actually, DSM classify it. But and Ben created this great mannerisms and stuff that he uses for Evan, that he created from the jump. It's about this kid. Show opens up. He's got a broken arm. Show opens up and he talks about how he needs to do some exercises that were given to him by his psychiatrist, forced upon by his mother. He needs help. He needs meds. He needs to be cured versus he needs to be cared for. As part of that whole culture. And one of the exercises was to write self-letters daily. Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be a good day because.
And this is
why. And there you go. And this is why. And then sincerely me at the end, you're writing yourself, sincerely me. So you're really listening to yourself. And they use this exercise a lot and a lot of different stuff. So he proceeds. There's two things that happen. He proceeds to go to school to work on that exercise, and his mother encouraged him to have people sign his cast because it's a way to engage with people. He's a real social kind of disorder kind of thing.
She's trying to get him to interact with people.
Yeah, and basically, the mother in the medical field as a nurse is also very blind to this whole mental illness thing. She's an enabler. She's an extreme enabler, I think, and she's a part of that culture that wants to cure him. And instead of care for him, instead of working with his behavior, he wants to cure him to end this. And so he goes to school, and he's had a crush on this girl Zoe, and Zoe's brother Connor is kind of a misfit drug user. I don't think extreme drug user, probably like pot. Kind of they call him school shooter chic. He's an asshole. He's got a lot of hurt, a lot of angst, a lot of anger, and
He's
so
very
people just kind of
angry.
people just stay away from him, right? And him and Evan get into a little tiff there in the beginning, and then later when Evan's working on his Dear Evan Hansen exercise in the computer lab, they run into each other again. And after Connor had pushed Evan down and basically almost started a little fight. Evan's kind of scared of him, and they run into him again in the computer lab, and he's like, you wanted to meet me in here alone, da da da. And Connor inevitably sees the note that Evan wrote himself, and
Yeah.
Connor immediately jumps to the place because he talks about Zoe, his sister, in the letter, and how much he likes her, but he wishes that he could talk to her. And he goes, "What are you writing this crazy shit about my sister for? You're going to tell everybody that I did this and that I'm a creep and blah 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 blah." And then so and so's like on almost another fight, and he goes, "No, what? Let me sign your cast. I'm going to sign your cast." And this is before the letter, and he's like, "Yeah." He's why? He goes, "Now you can pretend you have a friend," and he signs it so obnoxiously on
No,
there.
he said now
Connor,
now we can both pretend
but
that
both
we have
pretend we
friends.
have a friend, yeah. And it's like instead of just writing his name, he's like wrote Connor. That's what you see in all the posters, the Connor across his thing. And they also give that cast out to the audience member every single night in any production of Dear Evan Hansen, which is really neat. So people own original cast from the show. Anyway, so that night, that exact same night, Connor kills himself, commits suicide. And Evan's parents go looking for Evan. Not Evan's parents. Connor's parents go
Connor.
looking for Evan, and because Connor still had that note that Evan wrote to himself in his pocket, the Dear Evan Hansen note, and it read to the parents as a suicide note to his best friend. And they said,
Right.
we didn't know Connor had any friends. The mother was distraught. The mother is just crying and sobbing and just pleading with
Right.
Evan, tell us anything about our son, blah 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 blah. And so ensues the lie. Evan gives them a piece of their son they never had, makes it up, is basically a piece of himself that he's
Right.
giving to this family because it feels good for him to do it because he's getting the love back, and he thinks he's doing well for this family, giving them something hope and over the sun. It gets out of hand. It becomes viral. The whole thing goes crazy. They start a whole big organization. Long story short, wrapping it up, and we'll talk about individual characters and in comparisons to the movie. He has to come clean with his lie because by the end of it, the society, the cancel culture is blaming the parents for Connor's death.
Right.
And they're saying that the parents were pieces of shit and no wonder this kid killed himself. And Evan couldn't take that lie anymore to have somebody else blamed for his thing. He spills his beans and basically ruins a bunch of people's lives in the process in this whole thing. So the story is about mental illness and how we handle anxiety, how we handle depression, how we handle suicide, how we handle death, how we handle all of the grieving, all these things. And you see in the show from the jump, every single person mismanages all of these things at once.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a single character in the show that isn't mentally turned at some point. They've got something going on that is not society norm, basically showing that everybody's got something going on and they all screw it up. Not just Evan. Everybody kind of screws up dealing with it.
Debbie, no, he is not autistic.
No.
No.
They never use the word autistic for any of them. They use anxiety and depression a lot. There's anxiety disorder and a depressive disorder. I was just listening to the book not too long ago, and I don't know if they classify that in the book. We'll talk about the book in a minute. But I think they leave it generic to leave it.
I think they leave it open.
People can relate. If it's kind of open-ended, people can relate. But it's obviously some sort of anxiety disorder. That's how Ben plays him. So, Broadway show, Ben Platt from Pitch Perfect originated the role of Evan Hansen, and he got the leading role of Evan Hansen again in this movie. That started the controversy for the movie. So the play had all this controversy. Oh, don't teach kids about suicide. Don't teach kids about anxiety. Don't teach kids anything. Homophobia, blah, blah, blah. That's terrible. Whatever. Mm-hmm. The movie started its controversy because of nepotism. And what nepotism is that when there's favoritism between somebody related in a work or a job or a gift or something related thing. Yeah. So Mark Platt, Ben Platt's father, is the co-executive producer on the movie from Universal Pictures, and people started screaming, "Wow, Mark Platt co-produced this movie. That's why Ben Platt got it. Ben Platt's almost 30 years old, and he's got no business playing a teenager." And blah 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 blah. I think it's the other way around. Personally, I think Ben got his father the gig. Yeah, I think Ben
Yeah.
got his father the gig. I don't know. I think his father's a pretty big producer, but at the same time, everybody wanted Ben in that role. Just like with Wicked, everybody wants Adina and Kristen, which I don't, but people do. Everybody does because that's what those roles are originated for. That's what
Yeah.
when you think of Miss Saigon, you think of Lea Salonga. You don't think of these other things, or you think of Colm Wilkinson as Jean Valjean. These originating roles. Patti LuPone as Vita. These people created these roles for a reason,
Mhm.
and that's when you think of it, Evan Hansen, my mind at least goes right to Ben Platt.
Right.
Unless you've seen another kid do this on through a tour or something, pretty much everybody knows. If you know anything of Dear Evan Hansen, even a visual, you see Ben Platt in that shirt, that blue shirt with the cast. You automatically think.
Yep.
I think Ben's performance, and so I will go character by character. Ben's performance. Wait, no, I want to give a little bit of background first. Then we'll go character by character. Um, so the movie was written by the same people that composed the show. They call him was it Paskin and Paul, Benjamin Paskin and I forget his name, something Paul. They're two composers, and then they also had a book writer that wrote
Hmm.
the dialogue and stuff. Same people did the movies, all the same creative team. My first initial reaction from the film itself, after knowing the show so well, was this is the first musical adaptation in a long time, maybe ever, that did not miss the mark at all.
No.
They did not change the plot line. They did not change the through line. They did not change anybody's character motivations. They did not change any of the black and white ABC plot lines or ABC character development that happened with all of these characters. There's about 6 main characters. All of them are relatively exactly how they are delivered on stage.
Yep.
Now, the movie and the stage adaptation present these people differently in its own medium. So you get something very different from each medium, but the plot is the same. The character motivations are the same. What the characters do to each other and in relation to each other, it's all the same.
All the
They
same.
have not changed this at all, except for to add to it. There's nothing new. There's no drastic plot line that all of a sudden swung in, and you're like, where
Right.
the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
What show are
They
they
don't give
watching?
us. They
It
don't give us
is the
extra
stage
plot
show.
line.
Yeah,
There's
it
no
is the
extra
stage
plot
show, true as it can be, to a movie adaptation with a movie visual to it, instead of just the really cool social media visuals that Dear Evan Hansen has. If you've never seen Dear Evan Hansen's pictures, at least of the Broadway show, it's a really cool stage design.
line. Yeah.
It's one of the more unique modern stage designs that they've ever done, and it's just got a bunch of like these clear screens all the way through, and all throughout the show in different moments for different reasons. Real live people's social medias kind of posts pop up,
Yeah. They
and
all pop up.
it's really neat. They utilize that in a movie medium way with iPhones and tablets
iPhone,
and stuff in the movie,
computers.
but on stage it's very striking. That's Dear Evan Hansen. You see those screens, that's Dear Evan Hansen. But the plot is perfectly fine. And in fact, I think here goes my first review. I think the story itself lends better to film than it does on stage. I think the film adaptation is so raw and it's so true, and you get
Mhm.
such an intimate look at these kids and this problem versus a big look at these big musical spectacular,
Right.
on stage. You get the real intimacy in their eyes and in their communications that you do in the film. And I cried 3 or 4 times in the film, where listening or watching this show, I've never cried. I've never seen it live, but I've never cried just watching the show. I cried several times watching the movie.
Mhm.
And because it's really powerful. You got Julianne Moore and Amy Adams
Yeah.
playing the two mothers. I Come on, that right there is worth the price
That
of
right
admission.
there.
That's the price. Julianne Moore is by far, leaps and bounds, the standout moment of this film.
Yeah.
Her portrayal as the original actress. God, what is her name? I'm gonna forget. People, Evan Hansen fans are gonna kill me. I'm not a big Evan Hansen guy, but the woman who played the mother on Broadway, she played her, and I have not seen a lot of different females or different women do it,
Right.
but she plays her a little cartoony, a little kind of nasally, a little kind of stupid mother, just kind of being protective, but not really got any kind of game about social games and social awareness. Whereas Julianne Moore plays a real mother, and
Hmm.
she knows what's up. She knows the time of day. She knows that as soon as she's figuring out what's going on with Evan, she's calling him right to the table. Whereas the other one's kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So
No, Julianne Moore was incredible in this. She
But-
did an amazing job.
here's our first spoiler warning. As I'm losing my voice again. Julianne Moore's the mother's songs have all been cut.
Yes.
There's 6 full songs. 5 or 6.
There was 5, I believe.
5 full songs from the show that have been cut from the movie, and we'll let you know what songs they are. But the mother's songs have all been cut.
Except
Have no fear, except for one, and that's the final song that she sings right at the finale. It is worth the wait.
Oh,
Julianne Moore deserves an Academy Award nomination for that performance in that song. You didn't think she was going to sing it because they had cut all the mother songs throughout, and all of a sudden when she breaks out into that part of the movie, I sobbed.
That was what I was afraid of, that they were going to cut that out. I was like, they can't cut that out.
For those of you that are in the know and know of Evan Hansen, that's the song "So Big, So Small."
Mm-hmm.
Where the mother is telling Evan at the end, after he's revealed everything, truth has come out, that there was a time when he was a little boy that he watched his father leave in a U-Haul truck, and he kept asking as a little boy, is there going to be another truck to pick up mother? And her delivery to him about, no, there's never going to be another truck, and just her pleading to let her in. It's Oscar worthy. It's absolutely amazing.
Debbie, we adore her too.
And Amy Adams is everything Amy Adams can deliver. Her portrayal as Connor's mother, I thought was much more realistic than anything I've seen on stage too. On stage, she's just the big grieving mother that you're kind of like, well, okay, tone it back, lady, a little bit. But the intimacy of Amy Adams' performance, you understand her motivations for each pull that she's pulling Evan in, because she's the enabler. She's the one that pulls Evan in. Evan didn't have to lie, but it's her grief that pulls Evan in. He doesn't want to see her like that. And, so there's kind of some compassion on Evan's side. You can't condone what he did. What he did was horrible. And it really fucked people's lives up. But at the same time, with the movie adaptation, you really start to understand why the motivations were there. So back to characters. So we talked about Julianne Moore. We talked about Amy Adams. The father's character was changed slightly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works better in the movie. There's a lot of controversy. People hate it. But they changed Connor's father from a biological father to a stepfather. So that's another spoiler. Connor's father Larry is not his biological father. He's a stepfather in the film. And so there's all those new added complications to the stepfather-son relationship that they never quite met eye to eye. Whereas in the stage show with his biological father, it just looks like an absent father.
In the stage show, is his actual father in the stage show. Wasn't a stepfather.
And it presents itself like he's kind of just an absent father. Whereas the movie presents Larry as someone who's trying, but can't make the connection. So it's a better thing. But everything that Larry does in the show plot-wise, it's not been changed. It's all the same. Yeah. Zoe, the girl that plays Zoe in the film, she was from
Booksmart.
Booksmart. Amazing. My favorite film that year. And she's great. I don't think she's a powerful singer as some of the rest of them. I know that she's a recording artist. There's something about the Zoe songs that is always kind of like bothered me, that they're not quite on pitch or something. I don't know. I don't sing, but there's something weird about Zoe songs.
As far as the songs for Zoe, I prefer the stage production of that rather than the movie.
Yeah, one thing I found about watching the movie and then watching the stage show again shortly after to refresh, the kids present much older on stage. Even though Ben Platt was almost 30 years old when he filmed the film, he seems a lot younger in the film than he does when he presents him on stage. Yeah. And his portrayal of Evan is very different than it is on stage. On stage, it's got to be larger than life. His tics and everything, because you're playing for the back row. Whereas he plays him much more enclosed in the film, and really kind of gun shy, camera shy. The stage show is kind of a dick. He's real spotty off of the mouth, and once he starts getting comfortable talking to somebody, he's kind of with the mouth. Whereas in the movie, Evan's always kind of awkward. He plays awkward really well in this film. But
Amy Adams is incredible. As Debbie's saying, she just finished watching Nocturnal Animals.
Amy Adams is incredible. This is a role perfect for her too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so neat that they had them both anchored that way with Julianne Moore and Amy Adams, because that really was the strength of the film. Those were the MVPs. Those were the quarterbacks. They carried that film straight through. Not Ben Platt. Those two women absolutely carried that film through. Um, Jared is a little bit of a change too. They focus more. I think it is mentioned a couple times, kind of in the background. I think the showrunners were kind of hesitant with Jared's homosexuality, whereas in the movie it's a plot line. It's a major plot line for Jared. It's addressed very significantly in the film, but it doesn't change Jared's character at all. Jared is still Jared. The actor is an Indian actor, I believe, that plays him in the film, and so they changed his last name. They changed his last name to fit that culture, but they didn't change anything about Jared's character. I think almost all of Jared's lines from the stage show are delivered, beautifully in this film. I mean, Jared is Jared. If you don't, Jared's kind of the asshole best friend that's got all the good little fourth wall breaks to everybody to kind of be like, he's the one everybody's thinking that what the fuck is this kid thinking, but then he gets wrapped up into the stuff as well. Now, one little slightly change that they did with Jared's character versus the show was Jared gets more involved blindly, quickly in the show than he does in the movie. In the movie, he's much more hold back for almost the entire time. He's like, this is wrong, dude. So there's that little bit of break, a little bit of change with Jared. Zoe, we have to talk about her. We talk about Evan Connor. Oh, Connor's interesting. Connor's the only other actor that came from the original Broadway production. Connor was the kid that plays Connor in the film. I forget his name. I'm bad with names. Don't cuss me on the comments. Just whatever. That guy don't know who the fuck is these people. I don't know.
We're not perfect. We try.
I'm 6 episodes in American Horror Story. I still don't know anybody's name. So anyway, this actor, this dude that plays Connor in the film, he understudied all 3 lead male roles, and I don't think he ever got to perform any of them on Broadway. So for him to actually be performing and doing that. Yeah, he's good. I think he's an amazing Connor. Connor, the character, is one of the most presented differently, but not changed. They basically almost eliminate Connor from the film for a very good reason, for a powerful reason that will spoil her at the end. But Connor in the show acts as Evan's ghost, kind of third narrator in his head, and he's constantly talking to Connor throughout the show, and Connor's basically by the end, Connor's telling him, you're talking to yourself. Why do I keep appearing? Why am I still talking to you? Whereas they don't use any of that ghost bullshit in the film. Sincerely Me is still in the show, and they do a good job of presenting Sincerely Me as they do present it on Broadway or in the show, with all 3 of them doing the song. Sincerely Me is where they're writing the emails, the fake emails, and Connor's there speaking his role, and that's it. That is the only time they use Connor in this film, outside before he died. And then there's a moment at the end, and we'll talk about the end when we get to the end. And then that's why I was like, oh, that's why you left about the film. That's fucking amazing. So anyway, it's not in the show. So it's an addition to that.
It's not in the show.
So the final character, let's talk about Elena. Elena is in the play much more downplayed, and she's basically just the nosy everybody, the thing that's part of every single social group, the president, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, she's the one that gets everything done. She gets everything done.
She gets everything done. She's sued by the president, whatever. That's about the extent of her character in the show. She's the one that discovers everyone's lying. Same thing happens in the movie. Same exact way it happens in the movie. It all happens the same way. But let me tell you, the actress that plays Elena is the actress that played Little Rue in Hunger Games. She's also an up-and-coming recording artist and songwriter. She worked with Beyonce on Lemonade. Well, Pascal Paul had her, that actress, write a new song for Elena, completely, totally new, never been heard of before. It's straight for the movie. This is going to be your Oscar-nominated song because it's brand new. They always do this with a musical movie. You cannot have an Oscar song nominated if it originally presented on Broadway or originally presented on stage. They won't allow it. It's part of Oscar rules. So they always make a new one. You Must Love Me by Madonna was for Evita, all that kind of shit. So this is Dear Evan Hansen's new song. There's 2, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer they use the other one, even though this one's perfect. But there's 2 new songs, brand new songs for this show, for this movie. And Alana's is called The Anonymous Ones. And that's the moment that I was talking about in the beginning, when she starts to tell Evan that story by singing that song. You know it's about mental illness, and you have to sit up and take notice.
Mm-hmm.
And she commands you to sit up and take notice. She draws you right in, and then you start questioning yourself. Am I an anonymous one? Am I? Do I share these pain? I did too. Oh God, I cried the first time I saw it, and I was like, wow. The stage show has nothing like poignant like that just screams what this is what it's about. And that's why I think they really missed the mark with the stage show versus the movie, because the movie, people are going to come up, and I hope people go out and see it. I really do. I hope the fans of Evan Hansen really support it. I hope Broadway community in general really support it, and people who just like musical movies, I hope they got support, because this the cancel culture and all the negative press that you're going to hear around this have nothing to do with how fantastic this story is, or how fantastic this show is, or how fantastic these performances are. This movie moved me more than any movie in a long time. It's incredibly well done. It's incredibly. It's by the same director that did La La Land and
and what was the other one?
Oh, he wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower, and also wrote the screenplay and directed Perks of Being a Wallflower. So if you've ever seen Perks of Being a Wallflower, you know this guy knows what he's doing. And he knew what he was doing as far as presenting this. Yeah, there's some cheesy little musical movie theater moments where, when Evan Hansen's singing Waving Through a Window, he's waving through a window. There's little silly stuff like that. But the way that this filmmaker was able to capture the souls of these people so intimately, you never got that from the Broadway show. You never felt that from the Broadway show. Yeah, and if somebody like this, if somebody like this could handle Miss Saigon appropriately and get into the drama and the souls of those people like this, I'd be all for it. But I've been against the Miss Saigon movie from the jump, because I think they ruined Les Mis. But anyway, so that's the anonymous ones, and there's a reprise of the anonymous ones, and it's in the second part of it, and and you know why she's saying it in the first place, and you know why she's singing the reprise. It's really the showstopper. Any of the Evan songs really kind of went by the wayside with this, because that's really the showstopper of the film, is that song. But so let's talk about the song. The final song is the other new song, and we'll spoil that at the end about what that is and how that was. But so if you're an Evan Hansen fan out there, again, I'm not an Evan guy. I love the musical, but I'm not an Evan guy. So don't shoot the messenger. Just
don't shoot the messenger.
I mean, you can cuss me out in the comments. I don't care, but just don't shoot the messenger. All right. So the cut songs that do not exist in the film version at all in any form are Anybody Have a Map? The very first song is this one. The film opens with "Waving Through a Window." It does not open with it. Oh, one thing I want to mention before we do cut songs: this did not feel like a musical, which was really weird. It felt like there's very little singing at all overall through the whole film. Whereas the stage production,
all worked well.
Yeah, the stage production is a lot. It's not through sung, but there's a lot of singing in the stage show. This was real minimal, really minimal. Anyway, so. Anybody Got a Map was cut, which the only thing that did was it did not introduce Connor's difficulties early at that moment. We didn't meet Connor till we got to school. So you didn't get to Connor at the breakfast table with talking about his drug use and all that stuff through Anybody Got a Map. You just learn about Connor as you go through. So his story didn't change. It's just we didn't learn about it early.
The way it was presented was changed, but
yeah, exactly. So that was cut. Disappear was cut. Again, that is a Connor's Mother song. And so that was held for the reason when she does the final song, it was a surprise. The glove song, what is it?
Yeah.
To break in a glove, to break in a glove. The song with Larry and it's cut. Thank God. I'm sorry. Nothing is if you're a fan of that song. That song really slows the second act down. That's how the second act kind of opens is with that moment. And we just had this huge, powerful moment at the end of Act 1 with the You're Not Alone, with the whole speech to the school that goes viral and everything's just absolutely actually crazy, to this little intimate moment between Larry and Evan. And I understand why they wrote that song, was to show that Evan was becoming more the son to this family than anybody else. It's in the wrong place. It's in the wrong pacing. It's weird. I didn't miss it from the movie at all.
So
it could be cut for the show, actually.
All they did was explain it. They
just told the exact same story.
Perfectly.
They told the exact same story. He had the glove. He talked about breaking in the glove. Talked about, every single line in that song was kind of there, kind of presented. It just wasn't sung. There was no song there. So
yeah,
it was good. Good for you. This is the surprise for me. The big substantial number at the end of the movie, at the end of the play, basically, is where everybody turns against Evan once he's told the truth, and everybody's basically just telling Evan, this is your fault. You got everything you wanted. Look what the lies did. Look at all of these lies that have screwed up. Good for you. And it's a real attack on Evan's song. And I think it was cut for pacing, because it's a huge crescendo song. But it's also, I think it was cut to give Evan a little bit more sympathy as a character in the film, because it was more intimate. Because this is a real hate on Evan song. It's powerful. It's a powerful song, and you really feel the angst of all these people and how mad they are at Evan for really screwing up their grieving and their stuff. So I was really surprised it was cut in any form. I was surprised that it doesn't exist. So that was a shock. And then the normal finale was changed, and the normal finale was given up to a song which is the second new song called "A Little Closer." And this is a new plot line. It's not a changed character plot line. It's just a new plot line introduced. And that was the fact that supposedly Connor wrote and sang songs on the guitar. And the mother, he never played for anybody in the family. No. And Evan said he didn't play for him, of course, because Evan didn't know him. So the mother asked Evan at some point in the movie, that's all she ever really wanted, was to hear him play a song, to hear that talent coming from him.
Yeah, the way they worked it out was basically he goes and looks for people who knew Connor, because he's trying to fix what he started, and make it a little bit better. So he's trying to apologize, and was able to find someone who had more information and was able to send a video of the song that he wrote
a little closer
to certain people, and then they were able to actually see him actually singing a song.
So how it plays out is, and I didn't remember this from the show, but the show jumps a year at the very end, right after right at the final number. It jumps a year, and basically the show, Evan is trying to reconnect with Zoe and apologize to her, and she takes him to the orchard, which he'd never been to, which is supposedly him and Connor's favorite place. She wanted to make sure he saw it. She wanted to make sure he saw how much Connor had loved the place and the lie and all that stuff. And that's how the show ends. So it's really unhopeful. It's really like, you go out of the show just really dark. Whereas they fill in that year in the movie. That's really what they add to, is they show what Connor was doing that whole year. He took a year off of school. Evan was basically studying Connor. Yeah, Evan was basically studying Connor this whole year. He was looking through yearbooks and looking through Facebook posts and looking through whoever tagged him, trying to find any connection to him. And that's what led him to the video of this song that Connor played in some classroom somewhere of him singing the song.
He was in recovery. He was actually
recovery. That's right. Drug recovery. Yeah, that's right. And the song plays in the background, which is really weird, because all of the songs are presented in this film as the vocalist is the character, and they break out in song just like I think the whole world should do. But they break out in song at the opportune moment when that song's supposed to be sung, except for this song. This song is played like a regular movie song, where it's just playing in the background. You just hear it, and you see Evan doing all his research, and you see Evan doing Facebook posts and do everything. By the very end of the song, the last little stanza of the song, it turns down, and you see him playing the guitar on his mother's iPad, and she's finally getting to see him play a song. And oh my God, I saw this, I lost it. It's such a surprise moment. It is the perfect way to end this story. It is the perfect way that doesn't give Evan an apology. It just gives the mother closure. a little bit of closure, and that's what was beautiful about the end of the film. That it was just I had no idea it was coming that way. I had no idea what that song was all about. And when it started to play, I'm like, why is this playing like this? It's so weird. And sure enough, it was Connor there playing the guitar.
And
beautiful movie. It doesn't even end. yeah, it doesn't even end with Evan. It doesn't really kind of close out Evan's story. It ends with Amy Adams, and Amy Adams, going through having that moment with her son, which is we just had the moment with Julianne Moore and Ben Platt with that moment, and then we get that other final moment with Connor and his mom, which is absolutely it's amazing. It's a great bookend. It works so much better than the ending of the show. And it does. I can see where a lot of complaints are going to start from this film about with the whole cancel culture about why are you giving this kind of story hope and there should be hope and that kid's an asshole and he should just like all this stuff. I don't see it as hope or an apology for Evan at all. It's about this family's grief and how bad Evan screwed up this family's grief. And by him giving that present, that real honest present, was able to give them a little bit of closure on their grief. And that's why I thought that moment was so beautiful. All the performances are top notch. Like I said, I think this plays better on film than it does on theater. And I rarely say that, if ever. And this one does. This one works really, really good. Long film. What does it clock in at? Over 2 hours, I think.
Just over 2 hours. Yeah.
So it's an investment to sit down. It's full musical, so there is singing if you're into that. But the reason why I wanted to do a review on this is because this is an early review. We were fortunate enough to see it.
Cancel culture is bad. Yes, the cancel culture is bad.
And we wanted to. I mostly wanted to talk about the cancel culture and how the controversy against the show is so blind to the message of the show that I don't think the creators, I don't think Ben Platt, I don't think the writers, the book lyricists, anybody ever intended to make an apology for the type of behavior that Evan pursues. But giving him credit, he only pursues this type of behavior because his mental illness that causes these social kind of interactions to go haywire was never cared for, was never properly treated, because he has an enabler mother who was absolutely leaving him as a latchkey kid and just basically drilling into him that he has to be cured, he can't be treated, he has to be cured. And then you have, on the flip side, you have Connor's family, which is presented like a real, he's got problems, leave him alone, kind of deal, real kind of standoffish behavior. And by the end of the show, or end of the story, no matter what medium it's told in, I don't think there's necessarily an apology for any of that, but I think it's an awareness that how bad these things can go wrong very quickly if you don't handle each individual's own mental illness, take care of each other, take care of your own mental illness. If you're like the show says so prominently, you're not alone, and that's the big message that the Broadway show wanted you to have, because they have that on all their posters and all their t-shirts and the cast on the poster. You're not alone, and that's the first message of mental illness. Pretty predominantly about any type of fundraiser or big community outreach for mental illness. They talk about don't isolate, don't be alone. There is somebody out there. There's somebody a phone call away. There's somebody that you can turn to talk to. There's hotlines. There's any adult that you walk up to. Reach out is what they're saying. And the reason why with mental illness is so poignant about reaching out is because people don't understand mental illness because they can't see it, they can't palpate, they can't touch it, they can't mold it. It's all inside someone's head, inside someone's emotions, inside someone's hopes and fears and dreams. And when you can't see that and you can't touch that, then isolating that creates problems like this, creates problems with a mental society and the society norms and what's acceptable behavior and what's not, and things that you have to do to compromise with society, or the person's just really reaching out for help, and the mental illness is blocking that, in a way. Schizophrenia is a powerful disease that really just locks these people in their own head, for different reasons. Then you got the isolation of depression and anxiety that they're showing here in this show. So basically, the message is you're not alone. Please reach out to somebody, or we're here. I think so. with all this cancel culture, I don't think anybody was ever trying to apologize for that. Everybody was trying to apologize for any of the actions presented by the characters in the show. They're trying to present to you an awareness of like, just like Next to Normal did when it was on Broadway, and it was like everybody's raving about Next to Normal because of the portrayal of mental illness here. I think it was the same message, and it's presented through teenagers versus presenting through an adult woman. I think the message was clear. It's just very interesting that the two different receptions to mental illness. So I say ignore the negative complaining and press and stuff that's out there around this film, because who gives a shit if Ben Platt's father co-produced it? He co-produced an amazing piece. Who got who the job? Who knows? Who cares? Ben Platt being 27, almost 28 years old when he filmed this, he presents younger than he did on stage. No problem there. Shoot, Olivia Newton-John and Josh Travolta were in their 30s, I think, when they both did Grease.
Yep.
It was Rizzo too. What was Tucker Channing? Tucker Channing was like one of the oldest there in Kaneki. So yeah. It's been done. It's been done in Hollywood a million times. Would you rather have seen actual high school kids do this? Not that they couldn't do it as well as this cast. This cast is phenomenal. It's absolutely incredible cast.
Yes. When you guys can't see this, we do suggest that you do go and see it, because it is.
Really, so let's wrap up. Wait, there's a book, by the way, if you want to read the book, but don't be fooled. This is not based on a book. The book was one of those things that was written after the show was already open, after the show was presented on Broadway, after won all the Tony Awards. It was like a year or so later that the book was written. It's just like those movies, like say Star Wars. Star Wars comes out and then they write a book. Novelization of it. That's all that novelization is out there. There's also a book called Waving Through the Window, which is another book by the composers, which I think is like a lyric book from what I'm looking at. It looks like it's just art and lyrics for like You Are Not Alone and You Would Be Found and stuff like that throughout the books. Kind of like a postcard-esque kind of book. I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, not the Evan guy. Just you can buy both of them on Amazon right now. I know at Comic-Con, couple of years ago, San Diego Comic-Con, they were giving away free copies of the novel. Dear Evan Hansen, the actual novel writer, was there and was giving away free copies. And what they did then just goes to show you the entire message of the show from the get-go. They presented at Comic-Con as a charitable organization for mental illness, and they were giving those books away and signings and stuff as an awareness thing, and not as like money in their pocket for their books. So the show's always been about advocacy and not about behavior.
Right.
What was I saying? Oh, so there's the book. So you got the play, you got the soundtracks, you got the movie now. Anyway you look at it through any of the mediums, this is one of those stories that has not been changed. So however you could pick up the story, however you can view this, you either go see the tour that's on there, go see it on Broadway, the West End, whatever, or catch it on this film when the film comes out on Friday.
Yes.
This Friday, the 24th. Yeah. It is not going to be streaming. This is one of the films that was changed direction for its distribution, just like Shang-Chi was. And that is, studios are pulling back now from any of the shared streaming stuff. And Evan Hansen is one of those. Universal has decided that this is going to be a theatrical release only and follow a standard release program with this. So you have the theatrical release, then you'll have, the streaming thing, and then you'll be able to buy it and all that stuff. So
yeah, okay,
they're coming out more quicker on DVD, but they're still, this is a theatrical release only.
Debbie says neurotypicals should be taught from birth that not everyone thinks and acts the same, and that's okay.
See, that's the problem. Western culture, yeah.
Instead of trying to make everything neurodivergent people fit society in an acceptable mold. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's it. It's America, any Western world places like this, we're so religious based, we're so Bible based, that anything abnormal or anything that can't follow into the society structure norms, we tend to either degrade or dismiss or hide. And mental illness has always been a stigma in this country. It's always been hidden in this country. Shoot, back in the days of this, when they had full asylums that were based off of TB wards and stuff, that's what they were there for. They were there to hide people, lock people away and hide them. And I worked in mental illness for many years, and the biggest thing that I took away from any of my work that I did in mental illness was that every single individual in there had the same emotions, the same hopes, the same dreams, the same. It's just different areas are trapped, and to find avenues to even touch those areas or even allow a person to escape that trapped feeling for a while is an amazing thing. Unfortunately, it's the way society shuns and mishandles mental illness. That's where you get a lot of the violence and a lot of stuff, because it's not true. So people fear mental illness when they shouldn't. So that's my preach on mental illness. So what do you get? What do you talk about? I have brownie over there.
What? Oh, you have
Snax.
A brownie? Oh, Snax. Yes. Okay.
Ding dong.
Ding dong.
Debbie, I have a ding dong.
Mm-hmm. All right. Look. So today I have granola, which happens to be peanut butter.
Look. Can't reach it.
Obviously, he's having some issues, but what are we doing here?
He's the other side of the bed. Hey, Debbie. It's for Debbie. It's a ding dong. Ding dong. Delivery.
Yeah, but it's not. It needs to be wrapped in the foil.
I know, but they're not doing that anymore. You don't find foil like that anymore. Shit. Those days are over.
Debbie. Ding dong. Snax delivery.
Snax delivery. So that's that. So what do you give it? Sorry, I cut you off.
What?
What do you give it?
What do I give it as far as the movie?
Yep.
Honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Come on. I think they did an amazing job with it.
Yep.
The cast is incredible. So I actually give the movie an 8.5.
I'll give this movie a 9. It's just, and the reason why I do that is because of Amy Adams and Julianne Moore, the bookends of those two. Hey, come on, Nick. Careful, come on. The way that the filmmakers were able to present this story unchanged, unbroken apart, damaged, it was really presented this story as it was, in such a really intimate way, and like I said, I like this movie. I like this movie version better than the stage show. I think this thing plays better, so that's why I give the movie a 9.
Oh no, we lost him right in the middle. So yeah, I gave it basically. I like the movie, but I personally like the stage play.
That was me. That wasn't StreamYard. That was me. I hit the button trying to get Nuke up here on the bed. That's why my camera fell. No, yeah. So I think, like you say, you prefer the stage play. I prefer this.
I do. I actually prefer this. I prefer the stage play.
There's certain things I miss about the stage play that weren't here. That the whole look of the whole design of that show is amazing, and then the couple of the numbers that were missing were pretty missing. But I will skip those numbers. Even You Will Be Found, for the anonymous ones any day. For the anonymous ones, I bet you hands down after this movie plays on Broadway. I mean, plays for the Oscars, and the anonymous ones is nominated for an Oscar. I'll bet everything I own that the anonymous one goes into the show. Same thing happened with Jean Valjean's song. Same thing happened with the Vita song. Yeah. So they always go on. They adapt to the stage show.
You would honestly, you're telling me you would honestly give up You Would Be Found?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In a heartbeat. That anonymous ones is the most powerful song on the soundtrack. It's the way that message was delivered like that that fucked me up for a minute. Yeah. So it's really good. So yeah, I give it a 9. I say go see it. If anything, share the love that's out there for musical theater right now, with these people going back to work and musical theater slowly coming alive again. Again, I think only like 6 shows are open on Broadway right now, but it will be open by the end of the year. To feel the love, go see those. There's a whole string of YouTube stuff out there right now about Wicked's first performance and Lion King's back on Broadway, and they should just show some things, some curtain calls, and they show some opening numbers and stuff. Some outside the Ham for Ham, the first Ham for Ham after it opened, and every single video you watch, no matter who you're watching, no matter what show you're watching, the love that's given to these people, the creators and the actors and all that stuff, the cast of Hadestown, they went out on their balcony at the theater and they sang to the crowd till hours in the night. You know, just people.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one thing I thought about. Isaac
What?
Powell, who is from Once on This Island on Broadway, is an up and coming Broadway star with Haley Kruger. Isaac Powell was in this film, so that was the other Broadway star that was featured in this film. He played one of the football stars. So he's in this.
Oh.
Haley Kilgore is in Respect. So two of them from Once on This Island has moved on to film. And Isaac Powell's actually credited in some areas, even on the soundtrack for that. So he'll be up for he'll be eligible for different awards or whatever, even though he wasn't that big, but you know. So that's that. In a nutshell. Dear Evan Hansen. Go see it.
We do suggest that you go see it because it is worth it. It's really good.
Yep. So box office these days with box office, it's everything. And the movie industry is on literally hanging on by a toenail. Because the reception of the box office just is not I don't think it has anything to do with COVID. No. I think people have gotten complacent and lazy to go back to the theater. Because I know that's where I'm at. It's like I used to go to the theater every weekend, especially during box office time. And it's like I don't even think about going to the theater now. We went to go see Black Widow. I still want to go see Shang-Chi in the theater. I'm just in the middle of a move. I would love to go support this in the theater, even though we saw the press screening. But the way the studios are handling these films now is they're making decisions. They're making cut decisions right at the moment. Do we leave it for theatrical release only, or do we share it with streaming? And the share it with streaming, people are getting pissed off about now, and they're suing Scarlett Johansson, all this stuff. So more and more decisions are being made to pull it from streaming and put it only in theaters, and that's what this is one of them. So that's where you're going to see it for next month. It's only in theaters.
All right.
So if you're a fan, go see it. We'll be back to our regular scheduled program this Thursday.
So I hope you guys will like and subscribe. Share the video with anyone you think might be interested. We will be back on Thursday with our next
our next installment of American Horror Story. We have a collab here in the very near future. We're in the midst of working on. So we'll save that. We'll save that news, but that may be coming up. Mel wanted to mention, Mel, if you're around, Halloween, we are having Mel setting up different polls on our Facebook page.
Yeah, on our Facebook page.
But on our Facebook page.
All of our details are in the description below. Yeah. Please join our Facebook group if you haven't already. That's where the polls will be.
Yeah, and Mel's trying to get some information around Halloween and stuff. So please, once she posts those, please go and check out the polls and participate and everything, because that's why we're here. We're here because you guys are here. You guys engaged in the conversation. As long as you guys want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. That's why this channel exists.
Yep. And on that note, we will see you guys on Thursday. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. And you guys have a great night.
All right.
Bye, guys.